Wagwan, Mr. Maps.
Yo, what it do, what it is.
What it is, big man, are you alive and kicking?
Yeah. I'm alive.
Ooh, you sound funny. Nganu khulumela phakathi kwedrum.
Ngikhulumela ngani?
Phakathi kwedrum. It's like when we started recording, your sound just decided to be funny. I'm sure it'll work out fine, but on the Zoom recording, it might be a bit weird.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't have my mic, so I think it's not the usual quality of sound. But yeah, we've got the backups here, so I think we'll be all right. So, do I still sound funny?
Yeah, you okay. I guess if it's recording you properly, then it's okay. Maybe the sound over Zoom was just in my ear. It's just going to sound a little not like your usual high standards, Maposa.
Apologies, you won't be getting the crispy vibrations of Mr. Maps this week, Mr. Moy, but it's okay. Next week, order will be restored.
Yeah, but it now reminds me of it's back in the day. When you're still in Zim, whenever I needed to buy like earphones, to be honest, it was a chancing situation back then. Like it was a chancing situation whether or not you found good headphones in town, because all of it was like made in China stuff, right?
Yeah.
So there was this one day I remember I will never forget this. I bought these headphones for $9, which was a lot of money back then. And they were crisp, like the sound that came. I bought them at Haddon and Sly. I think back when iPod earphones were being sold in town.
Okay.
So I bought them, used them, and then I think after like a couple of months they broke. So then I went to the same shop in hopes that I will find the same headphones.
Yeah. They
were now selling for $9 headphones which were not of the quality. So it feels like it was around about that time, about 2010, 2009, when really truly like I found like good headphones, you could find them in town. After that, it was now just taking a chance on whether you found Chinese or whatever a product.
I could always tell the good from the bad. Usually the weight would be a giveaway.
The weight?
Yeah, you could just tell. Like if you got quality, so your quality items, if you still had them and you had them like in your pocket, if you compared like the actual weight, how it feels in your hand, usually the better quality was slightly more heavier. Like the bad, like crinkly sounding items usually were like paper weight, like really almost zero weight, and you just be able to tell that this is low quality.
I used to look into the thing, like inside the headphones. So usually back in the early days, so if you actually look at your good earphones, like earphones, they have like the sound thing is like a little net, like the soundproof thingy, the one that I don't know what it does to the sound. That little thing, it's a net that covers the hole where the sound comes from. The fake ones, it's like a fan. So it's like a fan type of thing.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I used to get very because I used to get so frustrated, and it happened a couple of times where I buy good headphones, they die. Now I must replace them with something. Then you buy in town, and then you plug them in, and within the first 10 seconds, you're like, what a waste of money.
Yeah. I can relate to that. Oh man. Speaking of earphones and Zimbabwe, I was actually just in Zim. Yeah. It was very, very.
How was that?
Short and sweet. But this is lit, bro. I love being in. Let me be specific. I was in Skies. I love Skies. I love Skies. The sad part, obviously, is that Skies is like how you left Skies. Where you left shit is typically exactly where it is. That's just kind of how Sky. It just looks more deteriorated, right? For the most part, nothing has changed. That Econet building still just is there. It's just getting older and older. Like, like all these like certain places in town. But I did see I mentioned the bowling alley. Saw that on 12th Avenue. Couple different places. I didn't manage to go and see Mozambique, which is a place that people have been, talking up lately, saying that it's a really good spot. But yeah, not as cold as I expected, but obviously, it just at night it is cold in skies.
Yeah.
But overall, it was cool, man. Massively over budget. Unfortunately, I went there. I told myself I'm only going to spend $200. Um, you
You
know,
are very funny. You are very
yeah.
funny. You've got
No,
jokes.
I was like, yo, I'm by my
It's
ones.
ridiculous.
Like what am I spending on really, other than maybe a pizza here and like some a donut at Hayfully. So I really was like $200 is a span. But yo,
200 bucks
that's
over how many days?
5 days.
It's doable.
Theoretically,
It's
theoretically,
very, very
it should be
doable.
fine. It should be fine.
It,
But
yeah,
you know,
the challenge
yeah,
becomes now you must catch up. Maybe you meet up with whoever, and you know
bro,
what I mean. Like,
bro. The budget was finished on night one, bro. Like that's the problem. I met up with the wrong person, and he just deleted the item on night one, and I was just like, what the
he
fuck?
just deleted that.
He did. He did. Like, listen, Zimbabweans do not respect the US dollar. You know what I mean? And I don't earn US dollars. Yeah, so you feel it. You're like, yo, like you man cannot be moving this way, fam. Like, but it's yeah. So guys, just whatever you think the appropriate budget is. I think you should either double it or cube it. Like just kind of make sure it's better to operate in a surplus than a deficit. But yeah,
Yes.
overall successful trip to the Mies. I didn't get to have umkanga though, so I'm a bit disappointed about that. uh that was sad. I had inopi. My mum made inopi for us on Sunday, but yeah, umkanga wasn't on the menu, unfortunately, and I didn't have enough time to track
Actually,
it down.
I wanted to ask you to bring a choto cross border.
You should have said. Kadakula machote kweli.
Wow. Funny story.
What?
So, I hope she doesn't listen to this podcast, to be honest, but I hope she doesn't. So actually, when I told my wife that Maps is going to the Mies, so in my head, because you're already talking about all the things you have to twala and
Yeah,
shit, and no, me, I'm as well a dude, right? So I'm like, Maps already complaining about me. Parties a look, na look, I tell you look, so I'm like, you know what, actually, it's fine. So then she's like, do you think I can parties some Maps a choto so I can make mkhandla from here? And then I'm like,
yo,
okay.
I would have thrown away other people's things, bro. What are you saying?
So in my mind, I was like, this nigga, I don't think he will. And I literally even said to her, she's like, did you ask me? I'm like, to be honest, I'm not sure. Also, now I'm asking this cheese boy to carry a Jodo cross border.
Nah. For the umkangla, I would have done it, bro. That for anything else, nah. But umkangla, bro, is just next level.
So if I'd said,
I
don't
don't know,
put it
bro.
imfe.
I'd have done it.
Imfe.
Yeah. Why not,
Really?
bro? Why not?
I don't know. Because it's like, it's
Listen,
a
bro.
lot.
It's
a lot of shit.
I'm a Nguni boy at heart, bro. Like those are the slappers,
No, I know.
Umkangla, Imfe, ukau. Like, yo, listen. There's that. Also, what's that item? The item that it's when it's ripe, it's got like a hard yellow shell, but it's like maybe let's say 2 times bigger than a cricket ball. But inside it's got
yellow.
it's like sour-ish.
Oh, they used to call them monkey oranges. Makio.
I think yeah.
Um,
What's the item called?
I am
I have
thinking so
ideas.
hard
I have
right now.
ideas in my head, but I feel like I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Fuck, what is it called, bro? But anyway, you know what I mean. Yeah, you know what
I was about to say the wrong word.
But like when you try to open it, you literally throw it on the floor.
Yeah. I wanted to say Umkemiswane, but I'm actually not sure.
Yo, me too. That's literally what I had in my head.
But I'm like,
that's what I had in my head.
But something about that feels more like a wild fruit, but it is a wild fruit. So,
but it is a wild fruit.
Hey, people correct us in the comments, guys. Let us know.
You know they love to correct us.
But you can't tell my wife that I said you would have brought the thing. So when you come here this weekend and she asks you.
That's the deal. If you refuse to come with us to groove, then I'm sending a text to your wife. Okay, by the way,
guys, I'm not grooving, guys. I'm done. Anyways,
you're never too old for groove, bro. Me, I've seen lapis with grey hairs.
No.
And no hairline.
Side note, this is the one thing I forgot to put in my list of notes. Or did I put it? The groove story. I did put it. Now that we're there,
which groove story?
Go into it.
Oh,
that on TikTok. I think I sent it to you.
Oh yeah. I think. Where is it?
Oh, I
might have sent it to myself. Yeah,
Brady, let me see what happens if I share screen. Do you think I can share it? Let me see. I need to open.
Apparently, you choked something on one of the episodes a few weeks ago.
I'm not surprised, dog.
She was laughing.
I listened.
She's like, "Yo."
No, I listened to. There's an episode I was listening to recently where I think I choked something very, very badly, and I think I caught myself mid-sentence. I was like, yeah. You know, like a choke.
You just have to pray.
There's some chokes. Yeah. Do you know what used to kill me though in high school? The thing when people used to choke. So guys who don't know, when we went to CBC, whenever any of the teachers or even students went up to read something, say something, if they mispronounce a word or whatever, like the whole school would just go, right? But I always used to say to myself, I think we used to take, what made it funny was, I think people started taking the piss because of how angry it made other people. Because when when Mrs. Mang Mang is reading and then she gets something wrong, Miss Svelo, man, R.I.P. But she would get so passionate about the it's so difficult to stand up here and talk to all of you, and then she choke again. People be like, you know, like,
nah.
And I sometimes feel
we had teachers traumatized, bro. We literally had teachers traumatized to speak.
There's something which you said a few years ago when we were recording. I think you said, what was it about boys' schools? That you don't think that's a normal way it's not a normal environment. It's not a good environment for kids to learn.
Nah, I think both sides, to be honest. I'm now starting to learn all girls' schools are corrupt as well.
Oh yeah, like my wife will be telling me still, because she used to go to boarding for parts of high school. Uh-huh. So you hear about the things I used to have. The bullying in girls' schools is actually like,
yo, that is mad.
Like the things I've heard, bro. Like I hear things about. I used to think boys' were bullies, right? Like the acne jokes, right? The acne whenever someone's got pimples, and then it's like, whatever. Like that stuff. Yes, it's body shaming, but it's like it's superficial. Like it's things which, yes, fine, it's super important when you're a teenager. Like they matter, but in the grander scheme of things, if you're like a really assured person, they shouldn't affect who you are. Like I know guys who got bullied for acne in high school turned out to be like the best people you'll meet. But some of the things that I've heard being said at girls' schools, like deep, bro. It's like
no, I learned.
People aren't triggering you for. People aren't triggering you for the shape of your head or your nose. It's it's like it's big things, bro. It's like, yeah, that's why your father left. It's like, what?
Nah, but you know what? Look, here's the tricky thing about being in high school is that as a teen, deep down we all want to be accepted, right? So like that came in the veil of being cool, because the cool kids seemed like they were accepted by everybody, you know, peers, teachers, whatever. They just had like a free pass to do whatever. So we all wanted to be accepted, but on surface level, we all wanted to be considered as cool, someone that people wanted to be around. So now when you get picked on because you're too dark, or, you know, whatever, your family situation, you know, like, it's just all these different things. Like, we were really mean to each other, bro. I think there's a lot of us that have, you know, trauma from high school years for different, you know, things. Maybe you were not attractive in high school, and then you've glowed up. Now you're trying to show all the boys that you're that bitch. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it can all be traced back to the bullying from high school.
There's one of the guys we actually went to school with. He wrote a very lengthy Facebook post after high school about how he didn't enjoy it. Yeah. I'll ping you the name, and then I think it'll make sense why this person also didn't enjoy high school. But his experience was, he felt the Zim colonial system that we had was incredibly exclusive, or exclusionary rather. So it didn't accommodate for kids who were, it was only towards, and to be honest, by the time you'd left, it was probably more inclusive. But the academic prefect, whereas you could become a lower six prefect at CBC without a first team sport, I think it was Kushal Mittal was probably the first guy, and then that opened the road for guys the following year to be able to just, based on academics, to shine. But for the most part, he felt the colonial system of, okay, you've got to be the rugby guy who plays cricket in summer to get any ounce of respect and to be seen in that environment. He felt it didn't help. Like, you had to be hyper masculine, hyper sporty, and he felt like we created a culture that didn't work for majority of the school. It's a culture that served to prop up a talented minority, and even things like having prefects in high school. Do you know what I mean, right? It's is it really an incentive? Is it a reward, or, you know, is it something which the guys who were prefects found to be useful, or was it something who guys who weren't prefects found to just be, are you guys just shaming us for underachieving? So he felt like all those little things just contributed to a high school experience he didn't enjoy. And then I remember when he said that, I was like, yo, that's so deep. But it's after high school, so you now reflect and you say, kunzima.
No, I mean,
but yeah, back to what you're saying. I think separating, mixing the genders is, I think, goes some way.
It goes a long way, 100%. As someone who saw both sides of it at a high school level, it definitely helps your development. Like, the real world is mixed with men and women, right? It's not men only and women only. And that's where a lot of the time it's very easy to spread misinformation. So, like, from boys' schools, and I would bet very similarly in all girls' schools, like, when sexuality became a thing, right? A lot of misinformation. We stayed lying to each other, and we've said this a bunch of times on the pod, right? Whereas if you're in a co-ed school, I think it's easier to myth bust, right? Because, again, literally the girls are right there. Right, so you can ask. You're probably going to have friends who are girls. So if someone is bragging and telling stories there, you'll be like, "Hey, brah, twa, this, and that," and then someone can easily debunk that for you, right, in seconds and stuff like that. So, and I feel like, ironically, with girls around, there wasn't this need to be hyper masculine. I think sometimes the hyper masculinity, it stems from when we're just a bunch of guys alone. You know what I mean? Like, we have to prove that we're all alphas, and, you know what I mean, nobody's a bitch and stuff like that. So I think that's one of the things that I don't like the most about all boys schools, that it's just it basically fosters hypermasculinity, at least in my opinion.
Wouldn't it be worse if you added I try to imagine a scenario where you added girls to CBC. Wouldn't all that bravado and that sort of that hyper toxic masculinity that we needed to display wouldn't it get worse? Because
No,
there's now
that's
girls in the
that's
mix.
the irony. You know what the irony is? Like, and you've seen this all the time, right? If we're chilling as gents and someone's wife or girlfriend calls, what happens to that guy? What's his demeanor like?
He changes so quick.
Exactly, right? With when it's just us, it's the lads with like just drinking and praying or whatever the case is. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? That's
Fuseki. Amore mina vele ngimncenge. Yeah. Mina vele United. Vele ngalishaya lonke. Hello baby.
yeah, exactly. So that's literally because again, that's why I'm saying like the hyper masculinity, ironically, is just us trying to outman each other for no good reason. Whereas you throw women in the mix, niggas get softer, right? So that's when all of a sudden you're learning, because again, right or wrongly, you're taught that women, to treat women gently, right? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of what we were taught growing up. So you have that kind of perception in your head where you're just kind of like, oh, you want to be, it's your baby, you don't want to be like, you want to be soft, right? So that's why I mean, like, if you have girls in the school, you'll tend to be a little bit more chilled, right? Because again, there is a girl that you probably like in the class or in school, so you're not trying to act a fool. And because again, hyper masculinity to me, I don't believe that's attractive to a majority of women out there. I don't think it is. And I think dudes know that as well.
I'm guessing. I am guessing, but a part of me, you only have to look at the dating experiences of a lot of women to try and not to say that what you're saying is not true. I think I also agree with you, but then I would then say, when you look at, those are the guys who get the most girls.
Which guys?
People who display hypermasculinity in certain environments.
No, but hypermasculinity.
Women
to
tend to find that very attractive as well.
Nah, bro.
Oh, just in general. Like, it can just be the way you are.
No, I think you can. There's an attraction to being an alpha, right? So like I think there is a group of women that go, I want to date the number one guy in the squad, right? That's a thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a thing that's there. However, number one guy does not translate to the most, intimidating, rude, rah dude, right? It doesn't mean that you can be a leader of a group and be a gentle person, right? So I think it's more about that. Like, there's people who are attracted to betas, people who are attracted to alphas, like, I think that's kind of where you look at it. But I know the dudes that used to get girls in high school, right? And I've seen how they interacted with Hans, around Hans, versus with the boys. Completely different people. Which is why I'm saying it's just us. I don't know where we got this propaganda from. And I reflect on all the times in assembly when, like, the teachers left, right? And then there was prefix assembly. Nonsense, bro. Absolute nonsense. Like, that was going on.
Prefix assembly was 6 years of this messaging being...
Yes.
It's like 6 years of this messaging being drummed into your head. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. From head boy to head boy, from deputy head boy to deputy head boy, to whoever. Like, it's just the same type of rhetoric.
Yeah. It's a culture. A bad culture. Yeah, it is what it is, bro. Unfortunately. But I mean, yeah, just to put a bow on it, I think, for me, hyper masculinity, even hyper femininity, I don't subscribe to either. I think a lot of the time it's never a bad thing to be a centrist, right? Whether it's politically or whatever the case is, there's good on each side, right? There's things that you can get from masculinity that are really, really positive. But you don't, anything on the extremist side, left or right, is almost never a good thing. Like, it's just never a good thing. So I think we were too, I guess, aggressive. The CBC experience, like, if you weren't tough, like the person that you spoke about who didn't enjoy, majority of high school, he you know, like again, you don't have to be tough, but he wasn't tough, right? And I'm not trying to say that to be like a shit or disparage him or whatever, right? But those years, he was still finding himself and figuring himself. He just wanted to come to school to learn and go home, you know, and have
Make
friends.
friends.
Like he was, you know, yeah. So it was he wanted
wanted
a
to come
normal
home.
high school experience, but CBC was not the school to have a normal high school. You know what I mean? I would actually
What?
be very, very
Yeah.
curious to speak to someone who went to like Petra.
Yeah.
And because even my friends who went to Masia, like they are, I'd probably say a lot less hyper masculine than a lot of the college guys that I know.
They turn out to be like out sharp. Like they're just cool guys.
They're good people. They're cool guys. Which is what you always need. You always, like when you have women in the vicinity, bro.
Like,
you
I don't
Paula,
think
you
a lot
calm
of-
down.
A lot of Masia guys I've met. Like I don't think I've had like just the guys I've met who went to Masia, like they've all just been top gens. You're just like, oh, okay, oh, you're so chill. Like even
Okay,
around
not
women,
all of
there's
them.
no.
Not all of them. Let's not guess them like that.
Okay, no, of course not. But there's a thing which I think sometimes when you hang out with guys who maybe went to, especially boarding, like you went to an all boys boarding, right?
So Falcon.
And now, maybe Falcon, maybe other schools.
No,
but
because
even CBC,
Falcon,
right? Even some
we
CBC
are
guys.
bad at CBC, right? But like, I always look when people shit talk CBC, I always do myself with look. I were not as bad as Falcon chins, because I know Hans who almost dated exclusively Falcon chins. Yeah, la pana.
You'll wake up very
I
quick.
speak.
Like the
I
social
speak.
engineering, the social engineering. Like I think we waste a lot of valuable years in social development by separating. But like I think I'm more convinced
Yes,
the older I
yes,
get.
I agree with that.
I think we miss
agree
out.
with that.
Now these people go to university, and then we start seeing, some issues of consent, for example, right? Because now
Yeah.
the first time you have freedom, and the first time you're relating with women, because
Mm-hmm.
when you're home for school holidays, right? Mrs. Malokuzenin get lakiwa. Can't just be
Yeah.
going around seeing girls 24/7.
No.
So you're either in an all boys environment or you're at home. And then eventually when you come out of it, 6 years later, it's like, hello world. There's women who've grown up, they expect you to act a certain way, they expect a certain level of respect, they expect a certain tone when you communicate. When even in the workplace, right, there's a certain way you relate.
Yeah.
It becomes very difficult, and I think now you're catching up. You're learning about consent. You're now learning about how do I talk to girls. Okay, how do I be considerate? Okay, now there's women's bathrooms. When our kula
Yo.
yonke sepia watch. But Falcon's now a co-ed coincidentally.
Oh yeah, I
think
need
is
to talk to someone
fascinating.
about that. See how if it's gotten better or worse. I've heard that it's gotten worse, but I don't know
terms
from
of?
what perspective. I don't know. Like I just heard someone saying, "Yeah, I Falcon see how and Bichana since they made it a co-ed school," but I didn't follow up that conversation. So I would like to hear if
I do think
the
what
reviews are
can
better.
fall behind. There's these Petra guys that I was in junior council with. I don't think we liked each other much back then. It was very childish stuff, to be honest. But the one thing they always used to say was the only reason CBC used to beat Petra was just because we had more numbers. So we just had a bigger pool of boys to choose from than they.
What do you
ever
mean
did.
lead Petra in what?
In sports, like we were just always ahead of them.
Oh,
in
yeah,
sports.
yeah,
So they could never
Yeah.
beat CBC in sports. So they're
More
just
niggas.
always like, yeah, you guys just have more niggas. Like you just have
Yeah.
more niggas. So it maybe it was impressive the level that they were able to reach. Sometimes.
What level were they able to reach?
No, because sometimes they give Hornets a pretty strong game. Not all the time,
Really?
but sometimes. Yeah,
I know we used to
towards
rinse
the
them in
end.
basketball. I know
Yeah,
that
no, of
we
course.
used to catch a strap down the road knowing it's cookies.
Basketball, cricket, soccer, of course, hockey, of course. But hockey, even there were some games where they used to have some pretty strong guys who could play really well. And then rugby as well, there'd be some years where they they're quite okay. So does that make, even if they would never beat CBC, just the fact that they didn't have that many boys, does it make what they did more impressive? Probably does. Because Lati would go play soccer at an all-boys school, like reps. Also, more than it being an all-boys school, it's just a different level.
Nah, you can't. There's a thing called too much privilege. You know, once you have too much privilege, there's a ceiling to the talent. There's a ceiling to the talent that you can unlock.
It's actually so true.
See, if you didn't start at Milton there, there'd be nothing for you. Sarah would be just like me. You'd have 2 left feet, bro. It's just different. It's just different, bro. You have to go through it, unfortunately. But I mean, again, but also there's different sports, right? So like the top schools then will excel in sports like your rugbies, your hockeys, and stuff like that. If you go to a proper school, like if you went to reps, probably not a great hockey player, because I don't even think they would offer hockey, right? So it matches up at the end of the day with some of these things. But anyway, Mr. Moy, we've done 30 minutes busy talking about high school days, and after these 30 minutes, we have not said welcome back, guys. It is another episode of 6 Foot Weights. Your favorite cheese boys. My name is Tabo.
And my name is Senna.
And if it sounds a little bit funny, look, man, I'm traveling. It's either, take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. Also, quick point of order. I think our listeners are not being serious. They're not being serious at all. They know what we dealt with that green application. Those people. And we had to get a new feed. People are not sharing the podcast at the rate that they should be, because we have people that were dedicated listeners still coming up and being like, yo, I thought the podcast had just stopped. I was wondering what happened. Like my own cousin. I was on the phone with my cousin when I was in Zim. It's like, we're catching up. So like he works in like Vic Falls, right? So he's just like, yo, what up? Kanti, so you all just stopped in March and you don't give a shit about us. I'm like, dog, what do you mean? It's like the pod hasn't been there since. I was like, and this is my own cousin. You know what I mean? Like, it's like that's. I so I was like, bro. First of all, open Twitter and follow us on Twitter. That's number one. Number two is the rest of you people are not sharing the pod. So I think what we're gonna do, and also, my wife shared a snippet of the pod on her story. That time, this is how you know Sabilo is a big hater of the podcast. His missus also was under the same assumption that we just nyamalalat. Yeah, just nyamalalat. We just stopped recording.
So
that
when
time,
we tweeted,
Sabelo's on Twitter interacting with us, seeing that the pod is still there, and his missus is on some. Bro, what happened to 6 Foot Weights? Baby, I'm what? You know what?
Should say bye again.
Bro, it really be your own, bro. It really be your own. So I think what we're going to start doing, starting next week, our ghost followers, we're going to start outing them. Ghost followers that I know listen to the pod, we're going to start outing you one by one and say, hey, Zwaniwani government name, this and that, ID number, this and that is a listener of the podcast. And I think that should motivate some of you guys to share it on your Instagram or on your Twitter or on your WhatsApp. Let's build it back up and build even further from there. But yeah, I was very, very shocked. Given if it was random people that we don't know, then cool. Hey, it is what it is. We knew that it was going to take time to, get everybody back on board. But given that it's people that actually have direct access to us, that's insane. That's insane.
Like, hi, but guys. Okay, maybe let me also, because then start sharing which we are here in a different location.
Yeah, I think we might have to even open an Instagram, bro, and start posting a few clips of the pod. But just managing 2 social medias, that's hard. The Twitter's hard enough already, bro. Like, we've got DMs that need to be responded to at bright. Like, anyway.
Maybe someone wants to volunteer.
No, we should look who's in. we can hand it over to Linda, provided people pay for her services. Then yes, we can.
Yes, we'll put a price.
We can ask Linda nicely for this shandies. But anyway, have you heard of the series You on Netflix?
Yeah, Joe.
Have you seen it? Yeah.
I've watched it start to finish.
Oh, you're up to date?
Yeah, even the new season, I finished it. My wife and I
did you
watched
think
it
of
in
the
a
new
weekend.
season?
Are we giving spoilers? Are we not giving spoilers?
Yeah, I think we can dive into spoilers. Like I said, it's like you said, you saw it on the first weekend, right? So I think the fans have seen it. Anyone who hasn't seen it by now is just kind of donda. So you're not really that interested.
Also, if you also do want to watch the last season and you haven't gotten to it, skip this part of the podcast. Spoiler alert. Heads up.
Honestly, it's not that great, so you just get the spoilers. It's not going to change that much. But anyway, go ahead, Mr. Mo.
I think this was better than the previous season. I think they messed up last season. I think the season before this one it didn't set themselves up well into this. So I think they were trying to. It's like you've made a mistake and now you're trying to save the thing, and they kind of had to start it from scratch. So. I don't know. It was a bit weird. This woman who clearly forgives him for being a murderer, doesn't trust him, stays married to him, helps him cover all these crimes, and then all of a sudden she decides, oh no, actually Joe's a bad person. Like, this is who you married. So I was a bit confused by that. It felt a bit women empowery towards the end, like girl power girls.
Yes, it
did. Like I remember just watching the Let's Get Joe, and then it felt like I was. And this happens sometimes. When Netflix,
the Avengers came together.
And then it ended up being a conversation about how Joe is a misogynist, and then it was like, okay, I'm now reading a Twitter TL, and for a moment I said, I think they lost the story for a little bit, and then I think they were more focused on messaging, which. Might not be anything wrong with that. It's important for young men who watch these shows to know that it's not okay to stalk women and kill them and all of that stuff, and to know that they're misogynists. I feel like it took away from some of the entertainment a little bit, but it's also meant to be. You don't want to wrap Joe's story up in a. I don't know. You don't want to give him a heroic ending. Let me put it that way. So he has to get arrested or die. So then him being arrested is probably him seeing consequences. But it's like this woman, and then the girl who sets him up, right? So she acts on The Handmaid's Tale, I think, the redhead woman.
Oh, okay.
So
that's a very weird show, Like my wife watches it. Every time I see like a scene, it's just always like, what's going on here?
It took me a while to get into it. Because, similar to me, like, so my wife was already watching it when she's like, okay, so I'm already like a couple seasons in, so let's start from the beginning. So then we started it. And I remember thinking, this is really, really weird. What do you mean you guys have maids that you get pregnant? And it's a whole arranged thing. And that's a whole, it's weird.
Yeah.
But eventually I got onto the story, so now I'm interested. But with you, so that's my feedback. I think towards the end I did start to feel like it was a bit of a girl power, a bit preachy, but it's important because you can't leave the story with Joe as a hero. Parts of the plot lines were inconsistent with some of the earlier episodes as well, so it's like you set up the whole thing about Joe still being alive and this woman saved him, helped him cover up crimes, and then she ends up fighting him. I think, I didn't. There were still some cool moments, like cliffhangers, where you're like, okay, I wonder what happens next. But I think it wasn't too great, and I think the problem was the previous season before that, where he was. I think they made a mess of it, and I was trying to save, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with, yeah, season 4 wasn't great. It was they tried something and it didn't work. It was a weird season. Like I won't even go into season 4, but it was just overall, yeah, didn't land. Like maybe they thought it should have landed. And then now you've taken too many characters from a shitty season 4, carried them forward into a season 5, and you've continued that same theme. So like my criticism is more from the creative side of things and not necessarily the messaging that they had. I think with season 1, right? We've been following the story of Joe. Joe has been the protagonist of the whole show, right? Every character is revolving somehow around Joe, and Joe was, from season 1 to me, was a complex character where, yes, he's a murderer, but he thinks like, number one, he's in the right, but also he has trauma from his childhood of being abused, right? So like it was all this stuff like, oh, it's weird. They successfully got us to cheer for a murderer, right? Which if you can do that as a show, that's wonderful, right? And then slowly, like I think after season 3, it just became he's just murdering for the sake of murdering, right? That complexity was gone, and then now you insert the fact that Joe has a son, right? I think that was from like season 3 with Love or whatever her name was. So there's a kid.
Yeah.
I feel like if this is the final season of You, the full circle, if we're talking from a script and an art perspective, the right angle that they should have taken, instead of trying to be preachy and you know, and even with the preachiness, it was like they could have gone a lot deeper into it. Like it seemed like the generic, this is what we want to say, but we're not going to go deeper into it.
Yeah.
What should have happened was the focus should have been on Joe and his son Henry, and how, because Joe has literally tried his best to not, because of Joe's like childhood coming up, he doesn't want Henry to be the same, right? But Joe doesn't see that he is what? He's the monster. So that when that moment at the end of the last episode where the kid goes, "Dad, you're the monster," that would have landed so much harder if the whole season you're building on Henry slowly discovering, or rather Joe slowly discovering that, or looking in the mirror and being like, man, like this thing that I'm trying to have my son avoid, I am that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I
Don't
mean?
you think
So
they
like,
did that to an extent?
nah, it was not enough. It was like a side thing. Like the problem is it then became about this Bronte chick and Kate
Yes,
and
it
all
did.
of that, and setting that
Yeah.
it was way too much time spent on that side. And I think there was a deeper story about how your childhood trauma can, you know, Shannon Sharp used to like saying, at least when he was on air, that, you know, you end up the road you take to avoid a situation can end up a lot of the time being the road you take to get there, to that thing that you were trying to avoid, right? And they could have set that up better if they kept the focus on who? On Joe. And then Joe just became a one-trick pony in terms of the moment there was a little problem with a character, between Joe and a character, Joe killed them. But that wasn't it. Joe had like a complicated morality. He didn't want to kill, right? Remember, it's like season 2 when Love was going crazy and he's trying to, she killed the neighbor, right? And I think that was season 3. Like Joe was like flirting with the neighbor. Next thing, neighbor's dead. We're like, yo, this is, and then Joe's like, bro, what are you doing? Right? So you could tell that there was a sense of morality in his killing. He thought he only killed because he absolutely had to. But then by season 4 and 5, this man was just off it.
Killing.
You know, and like when he didn't need to set up the twin who was sleeping with the husband, with the twin's husband. That part where he was like, he was giving them time to negotiate, or are they going to get on board with Joe's plan and blah 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 blah. And then he's at time up, he grabs the knife and he's about to go murder them both. That's like, that's not the Joe we've had since season 1. So I think it ended up, and I heard it was new showrunners for this specific season, which makes sense because obviously people have like different visions. But I was very disappointed in that they had an opportunity to bookend a complex story where Joe realizes that he is that guy, and he has no one to blame. than
But
himself, that his son now hates him, and doesn't want to be him, and he's actually done harm to his son, but then now you end it with like fan mail of Hans, sending him, fan mail saying that, oh, I want you to do all that shit to me and control me, blah, blah, blah. Like, then I don't know. It just, you made a multi-dimensional character one-dimensional, and that was very disappointing.
They simplified it unnecessarily.
Too much.
But maybe not. And then I think, like you speak about Joe being a complicated character. I think a lot, like what towards the end he was now just killing for the sake of killing. Like he always had a specific reason, a moral thing that he'd reconcile in his mind.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily to say he that he's just like a serial killer, because I think and maybe he was, and he actually was, but
he was
explored some of the and even that moment where he killed, that was another thing that actually was very weird when he killed the guy who he thought was assaulting. What's that girl's name? I forget her name.
Oh, Bronte, the one they put in the cage for a little bit.
No, that other guy. What's his name? The psychiatrist's son?
Oh. I mean, but that one made sense, right? Because it was a struggle. Like it was a fight. He didn't have to kill him,
but that whole
up,
killing thing was very unnecessary. Because then it ended up being about how he was caught killing on camera.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of it was also messy, because what do you mean he's Joe again? Like, what happened to all the things he was running away from? Because, I feel they let themselves down the last 2 seasons, but yeah, maybe it's a Game of Thrones type situation.
Yeah, I mean, we know in terms of Hollywood, right? The unfortunate thing is that Umuntu will have an airtight, 2 seasons, right? Really, 2 seasons. And then it's a hit show, season 1, and then season 2 is a hit. And, obviously because people, want their monies, you have to now get a season 3 and a season 4, and, these things end up happening. So that's the I'd say the difficulty, at the end of the day when it comes to, Hollywood. Like, no one builds a 5-season, because you don't know you're going to get 5 seasons with your story, right?
Yeah. So you shoot a pilot, you write a pilot, then you're renewed for series 2.
Because at least Game of Thrones is based on books, right? So that there's a long road, right? That you're traveling. But when it's a thing, Wooty, if it's just someone wrote a script and it's booting, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult to kind of to keep it going. But anyway, guys, watch the last season of You just for the sake of. It's been painful. What other show? You, and there's another show that I was just watching for Squid Games, where it's just like I'm just watching just to bookend. Even Money Heist got to that point where you're just watching the last season for the sake of, let me see how it ended, and now you like I'll look for excuses when I'm like doing work to just have it playing in the background just so that I could just just get through it at the end of the day.
The second season of Money Heist was I think it had moments that were equally as compelling.
Yeah.
I remember when that girl died, like that episode, I remember.
But the last season was shit. I think it ended in season 3, right? That was
2 seasons.
No, it's not 2 seasons, bro. It's 3.
Money Heist. No, Money Heist is just 2.
Money Heist, there was the first season. Second season, they come back with the heist number 2, an even bigger heist. Remember?
Where they robbed the reserve.
Yes. So there's definitely a third season, if not a fourth. But Money Heist kind of also fizzled out, which is quite unfortunate. But that's how you see it. Umutu will have that one very, very clearly. 1 season Shandis, and then it kills it. Maybe it's COVID numbers, who knows, right? And then all of a sudden, hey, we need season 2. And then next thing,
Do you think that was the case with you, and that COVID also contributed? Because a lot of shows that came out during that time, like that was like a very sweet spot for streaming. Like if you had wrapped up production on a show in March,
we had nothing else to do.
20, and you were about to go to stream, you were probably like the luckiest person ever. Like Money Heist outside of COVID, I don't think Money Heist and Squid Game come to like mainstream like that. Like I think you'll have the people who like
No, I think Squid Game does. Squid Game, even season one of Money Heist, I think.
But do you? No, I know it was
a
great.
hit.
No, it was a hit. Like they were both hits. I'm just saying, would they have taken off, or have come to like mainstream attention if it wasn't for the fact that we were locked down?
Fair. Maybe the highs might not have been as high.
Because I mean, by the time you reached which part of the pandemic, 3 weeks into the pandemic, I think you're like, okay, I've finished everything on TV. And then 2 months later, we started a podcast. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think with Squid Game, definitely, because Squid Game was like, I don't care what era it is. That's a madness. Season 1 of Squid Game was it was just it's one of those just one season masterpieces. And it's frustrating now with season 2 where they're now doing the silly thing of stretching it out, and hey, this is part 1, and then I think part 2 comes out this week of the final season.
I actually haven't.
There's a part 3, I don't know, but
I haven't watched season 2.
Don't bother, bro. Don't bother.
Really?
Like it's not that. Nah, it's not worth it. Like if you just need something in the background, then sure. But I was scared
too because of that, because I'm like, it's hard to top. That story felt complete. It felt done.
It was.
You know,
done.
I don't know where he's gonna, because there was also desperation about Squid Game. Like you can understand the desperation. He needs money. Like this guy is broke.
Yeah.
And even that meme, the other accountants like, oh, I thought you were doing well. And even how it unravels in the sense that you find out that old guy is the one who created the game.
Bro.
So it's like, okay, all of this, it's been explained, it's done.
Yeah.
We know.
Perfectly tied together, you know. No, their money just talked. Netflix said, yo, listen, right, here's a check, write the number that you want.
It was a Vin Diesel situation.
Yeah, no, like that one is very, very clear, because again, even season 2 is trying to borrow from a lot of season 1, and it's don't bother, bro. Like unless you're seriously bored, there's better things to look within. But anyway, let me see what we have here. Oh, I finally, since we're on movies, I finally watched Oppenheimer.
Oh, how'd you find that?
It was very good. I'll give it a solid 9 out of 10. Yeah, no, it was really good. 3 hours.
Hectic,
so it took me
2 years
3
later.
4 days. Bro, because it was 3 hours, bruh. I was like, where am I going to find 3 hours?
What do you mean?
Bro. I don't have 3 hours to sit unless it's something that I really, really want to watch, right?
Wow.
So I knew it was critically acclaimed, but is it something that I'm going to want to sit for 3 hours? But I took it an hour at a time.
But I mean,
I
think between the two of us, you're the one who watches a lot more movies. So I would have imagined
if
that
I'm
by the
interested
time.
in it,
okay, I guess yeah. I don't
look,
know.
you can't go wrong with Christopher Nolan, right? However,
so I would have thought
3 hours is still 3 hours. I don't even watch Avengers Endgame that often. I've probably seen it since it came out. Maybe I've seen it an extra 4 or 5 times. Maybe once a year.
I see.
I might pop it in.
But I'm not
It's
just
long.
thinking. But are you also telling me that in how long is this? 2 years. Because we are coming to 2 years. I remember.
Didn't it come out last year?
Cape Town. No, Haxo still lived in Cape Town when it came out, so it would have been 2023.
No, it wasn't. Last year was the Barbenheimer thing, no? Where you niggas went to see Barbie and shit?
That was the previous year, my guy.
Barbie.
It was the year I got married.
Yeah, 2023. You're right.
So you're telling me in 2 years That's like my shock is that in 2 years you still haven't watched it at all. So
No,
like
it was
this guy's
it was
about to
just on the
say,
streaming item.
he's like, I just watched Lokuzen. I'm like, Oppenheimer. Like, it's like, Microsoft Edge when it's reporting something. They're like, oh, Oppenheimer's a good movie. I'm like, oh, okay, Maposa, what year are we in?
Yeah, no, sorry guys, little bit late to the party. But brilliant movie. Christopher
snap.
Nolan is Christopher Nolan. Very, very,
Second
For-
season of Thing is coming up. I'm
Of
looking
what?
forward to that. Of Shaka Ilembe.
Oh yes, my wife says she wants to watch that. I need to finish
Yeah.
season 1 actually.
That's gonna be cool.
And jump on that. But yeah, shout out to Christopher Nolan, shout out to Oppenheimer, guys. If you haven't seen it like me, I think it's worth it. You can break it up. It's not like a, the good thing is that it's not like an action movie where you have to finish Gawat. Like I almost took it like documentary style where there were moments where you were like, oh, but I did like the way the structure is brilliant, bro. Like the Robert Downey Jr.'s Strauss, I think there's the character. When he's going through his trial, and then you have the real time building of the bomb, and there was a third item. What was the other item? There's 3 things going on at the same time.
There was the meeting with Einstein.
Oppenheimer's trial, his personal, the sham item, right? And then you throw in Einstein in the middle of that. Like, it was lit. I was like, you know what, Christopher Nolan, it's not just hype. This is, it's not like, like there's people like Quentin Tarantino and other directors where they have a style and you can always just tell it's the same great movie, but this is kind of what you do, but I feel like Nolan's movies always seem to be different somehow, like if you compare this to Tenet, you compare this to Inception, the Batman movies, you know what I mean? Like, I still haven't seen Interstellar actually. So
wow.
I still have to go back.
No, side note. No. I must stop you. This is something I've been meaning to do for a very long time. I can movie shame you. Usually, man. I'm the one that's not in like the know when you know with movies and production, because that's your forte. Like you're more there. But no, Maposa, Interstellar.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so is it also because it's long?
No. It's just
unpacking this.
There's just never been the right time. So I missed it when it was in theaters. It's never been the right time to watch Interstellar. But I it's funny enough because it's like there's memes that come from Interstellar, right? That I'm well aware of. So
yes.
I think for the sake of the memes, because I have been using the memes and stuff like that, let me just.
I'm going to watch one of the greatest movies to come out of the last 15 years, just for the memes.
Is it that good? Is it that good?
I think it's really good. I enjoyed Interstellar.
I mean, I'll download it. I think it's on Netflix, right? I'll download it and watch it on the plane.
Yeah. Look, I enjoyed it. It's a bit. It's boring for a little while, but if you like Christopher
Nolan, that's not a great endorsement.
I think you'll enjoy it. No. It I remember the first time, like you're watching all these things, but you're taking note, and I remember just saying, "This movie's a bit slow, it's boring." I'm like, no, let me just watch it though, because I know, and then it just becomes brilliant. Like the whole story, the way it ties together. It's tops. It's tops.
Which movie is the one where the meme that is kind of popular at the moment of the dude in the space suit in space where he's screaming like no, like you've seen that Adam, where he's like
and
crying.
He's like tapping on a
yes.
I'm trying not to give you a spoiler, but it's Interstellar. It's Interstellar. So that's the end of the movie.
Yo, that's actually funny. The Interstellar meme that I know is
because you just pay attention to like the little details with Interstellar, because it all ties up like brilliantly towards the end, because it's like, oh, you see a little bookshelf, you're like, oh, okay, what's this obsession? Why is this guy just staring at it? But then later on, you're like, oh, this is why. So there's different things your mind must be shocked to. Even like conversations.
Okay. All right. No, I'll give you a review. I'll give the people a review, and
I assume you haven't watched Sinners.
No, I haven't watched Sinners, unfortunately.
Okay.
That's because I've been busy, right? So I've been busy. It's out. I'm pretty sure it's gonna. By the time I get back home, it'll be out on digital. I wanted to watch it with my wife, but my wife, she said no, we'll tag at the end. No, so I was like, okay, cool. So I guess I'm gonna watch it on my own. But yeah, I did see someone who watched it recently and said y'all are gassing it. It's a 6 out of 10. So maybe she was tweeting for likes and engagement, but I was like, oh
no. Look, to be honest, it may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I thought the production was brilliant. I thought, because it's also a bit of a musical, so I enjoyed a lot of that sound, that music, that production.
Music,
because
people are singing.
A little, not a lot. Like most of it is an actual whatchamacallit. Most of it is a horror film. The reality of it. It's a horror film.
Is it actually scary?
Horror.
I've heard people not saying it's not that scary.
What is scary though?
Senna, this is not a philosophy class. What is life? What is time? Is it a concept? Spencer, what is scary? What? Okay,
this is not a philosophy class.
What is it? Is it scary to you?
It was entertaining. So it's a horror, but it's entertaining. So I think with horror films, sometimes I don't get scared, but I'm entertained by the horror that I'm seeing. So I was entertained by it. Have I seen?
Have you seen it?
The movie?
Yes, the movie.
Yes, I have. Yeah, my wife and I went to watch it at the Labia.
Okay, so was it scary?
Which is a theatre. No, it wasn't scary, but it was entertaining.
So is Sinners on that level, or is it more scary than it?
Oh, you mean It the movie?
Yes, nigga. What do you think I'm talking about?
Oh, I thought we're talking about Sinners.
Oh my days.
So when you're like, have you watched It? I'm like, yes, I've watched Sinners.
Okay, it's the movie about the clown Pennywise.
Oh no, I haven't watched that.
You have see, you're not serious. That's some shit you should watch. It is Stephen King.
But you know what?
But anyway,
so the thing is, me and my wife didn't even read the thing.
You don't have to read the books.
No. So with Sinners, right? We didn't read the bio or anything or watch any spoilers. Because I think we didn't watch any trailer, nothing. The movie is coming out. We were just aware that it's coming out, and then we were going on a date. We're like, let's go for a date in town. So we'll start by watching a movie, and then we'll just go for drinks or whatever. So then we just found, Sinners, it's Michael B. Jordan. Oh, it's this guy from Get Out. Okay. We just booked. So we went thinking we're just watching some, black, I don't know, like romantic drama, slave times, Donny struggle. The struggle movies that you think you're going to watch on a Friday. Yeah. It's like, okay. Or whatever. Or it's a rom-com, or people are just, I don't know. We didn't expect that. So we were shocked. Like the movie started, we're like, what the actual? So we weren't scared.
Interesting.
It wasn't scared, but it was just more entertaining.
Okay. All right. So I have lots of homework apparently to go back and double check on. Really quickly, not really quickly, but shifting on to more sports related topics. There is a young man by the name of Liam Jacobs who has been garnering a lot of attention on social media. He's been, according to the people doing the Lord's work, certain committees and organizations and federations in South Africa have been called to task for fiscal mismanagement of state funds. And Mr. Jacobson has, done a lot in terms of, not attacking, but calling them to task to explain where are the monies. So it's been very, very interesting seeing, I don't know if I can call it the trial or the committee sessions. And, it also disheartening because I'm just seeing just these bodies. You can just tell that they are, just chowing the sheets. Apparently, I don't know how true this is, but in the hearings, someone said something along the lines of the CFO of SAFA is out on bail, and he's the reason why he was even in jail in the first place was some fraud case, misplacing of funds or something like that, and that's the CFO of SAFA, which is mad. But just to kind of hammer all of this in, there was a story when I was scrolling on TikTok that popped up talking about how the South Africa under-20s, I believe, who just won the CAF, championships.
Yes.
Oh, I did. Oh, okay. You sent it. Amajita, which is the
Something.
coolest nickname out there. So let's put that out there. But Amajita won. They went to Mozambique, but there's a little bit more context here that I need to add, and we'll make it a little bit more clear as to the state of SAFA. Yeah. Right. Let me know if you can hear it.
Yeah. No, I can't. Sorry.
The Amajitas.
Amajita, yes.
There we go.
The under-20s, Bafana, what are they called?
Oh, the Amajitas.
Amajita, yes. They do very well, hey?
They just won the AFCON. They won the AFCON,
Yeah.
under 20 AFCON.
Okay, literally won the AFCON. The coach didn't get a bonus.
Okay.
But the admin staff, the officials at SAFA, they gave themselves a bonus. But the coach who actually,
Got the team there.
Got the team there,
cut the
didn't get a
team there,
bonus.
Didn't get a bonus. That's not the story.
Oh,
No, that's not the
Okay,
story.
but that is a story, but fine.
I'm nervous now.
Once again, save that for another day.
Yeah, wow.
Just have a listen to this.
Did the Amajita team travel by bus to Mozambique?
Yes, they did.
To Mozambique
Yes, they did.
by bus.
Yes, they did.
All right.
Yes, they did twice. The national team of the under-20s traveled by bus to Mozambique. Yes, they traveled by bus.
By bus.
The national team, guys, going to represent South Africa in another country.
Got on a bus here.
But the officials at SAFA fly. They took a plane. No. The guys who were actually playing on the field, the
Take a bus.
soldiers, the front line,
Yeah.
they take a bus.
The stars.
The stars,
The reason we're there.
yeah, the AFCON winners,
Yeah.
they take a bus. But the officials, the admin staff from SAFA, they fly. Thank you. And then we wonder why our sports teams, like they when they perform, you know what I'm saying? They are doing it all besides the support structure. How wild is that?
so unfortunately, this has been a long-standing gripe in the world.
So yeah, it's difficult one. Imagine, bro. Like, it's one thing if it's a case of like, look, they could have passed, right? That's annoying, right? But okay, cool. Mozambique, it's far, but it's not that far. But if the organization was truly strapped for cash, right? It is what it is. But if you're going to fly officials, probably flew business class, to Mozambique to the same game, then it's a bit of a slap in the face at the end of the day. And these delegations, it's not just the president of SAFA, you know what I mean? If it's one with the owner, the president of SAFA flew, again, I understand that one, right? One body, he has to be there. But if it's the whole delegation, you've seen World Cup final, all these different sporting events, bro. The delegations are huge, bro, of these old men who are busy just jerking each other off. And it's like, bro, get off the screen. And if you're a player on the team, you just see that and you see 40 delegates from South Africa coming to watch the game who fly in more than the actual players. Probably the squad is probably 20 players, and then maybe another 10 coaches and assistants.
Yeah.
Who knows, at the under 20 level could be even smaller than that, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's and right now SAFA, is not in a great financial standing because again funds have been mismanaged. Just another day in an African country. Pretty sad.
Another day in an African country. Remember the story last year at the Olympics
Which one?
from our very own.
Oh, there were more delegates than athletes.
I think it was 67 athletes and 67 delegates and 7 athletes that went to the Olympics.
I don't know how true that is because that's bad, bro. But also it's me, so it's believable. It's sad that it's believable. If that could be a remember, it's like the Vic Falls porthole thing, with the white people that were in the porthole. And then apparently the government official said, no, it's not our porthole, this one. Yes, we know the road is bad, but it's not this bad. Which is, again, very embarrassing for you guys to come out and say that. But the fact that people saw that and were like, yeah, it's believable. You know what I mean? That's an indictment in and of itself. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I think tying the Liam Jacobson part of this, right, with this story, I think we need a huge infusion of young people, young minds, the types. So the people like him, to me, come off as people that genuinely want to fix the country. And we need more of those people. And even if it's not like, kick out the old establishment, but I think the old establishment needs to be held to account. And I would even start championing government of national unity across the spectrum in Africa, because I think it's doing South Africa a good, where you have parties that are not on the same page.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot harder to just chow the money, behind closed doors. Yes, I'm sure people are still chowing, right? But then when you have, I think, Jacobson, is he DA? I don't know what
I think he's a
party
DA minister.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the new parties, though.
Is it? Whatever party.
I think
he's
he's
from. If you could look it up quickly.
Let me look.
But the fact that he's chasing them up and he's not on it. Like, how, for example, whenever we're in Cape Town, you say in Cape Town, bro, like if you get pulled over by the cops, do not ever try to bribe the cops, because they are going straight to jail. Don't do that. Shit doesn't fly. But then when you're in Gauteng, what happens? You get pulled over by the cops. The cops don't even want to pull you over. It's about the money, right?
Yeah.
So now if you took Cape Town cops and you're like, right, or pairing each of you with your Gauteng counterparts, then it becomes a lot harder for these Gauteng guys to just operate the way they want to operate. Now they have to actually follow the law and do their jobs and follow the structures in place. So that's the one big positive I'm seeing of the government of national unity in South Africa, right? That at least some things are starting to be exposed. Some people are being called to task and being held accountable. Because it's just, even I think Miz was half decent. Remember we had like a few years of that MTC ZANU. Like
2009
felt
to
alright.
20. Yeah, I think the economy picked up a little bit and
it bounced back, bro. We were alright.
Started to make sense a little bit, and yeah, man. And then I actually think it's those years that turned around the country to a point where even now, those years got us back on our feet. Like, I think after 2008, I think
back on our feet is a stretch. We down bad.
No, but
the moment
I think we're down bad, right?
Yes.
But in 2008, bro, like the mid 2000s in Zimbabwe, culminating with 2008, from 2005, 2004, even when people were queuing for petrol and bread, and there'd be no bread. Can I
tell you a
first
story?
bearers check? Yeah.
So I was in a smokehouse, And one of the yabs that we were chilling with, he went to Mzingane for a few years before moving on to Falcon, right? And he was part of the. Did you ever hear the story in Mzingane of there was a time where the students beat up the headmaster? Did you ever hear that?
No, I never.
It was that time. So peak 2008, ons are hungry. People, schools, especially boarding schools, were now what you might call it. They were accepting food, right? Foodstuffs as school fees, right? So whatever the quantities were, when I wear them iph'impuphu, we wear them whatever it is, right? Like shit for, because again, it's boarding school. People need to eat, and it was just about the money. So some students and Mzingwane had parents or family members who were equally who were able to send groceries from SA to Squally for the lighties, right? So part of it was the milli mill in Goli is like different, right? Like that's super refined Iwisa and whatever. So these others would be sending kgs and kgs and kgs of Iwisa, right, to those kids going to Mzingwane and whatever. And then the kids would show up, hand it over, and then, school fees is paid, whatever, right? Apparently, who headmaster, and this is how this. I sometimes say Zimbabweans, we have the government that we deserve. Because Sonk is corrupt. The problem is that no one wants to be me and Jacobs. We all want to be Nazu. And again, I get it. But anyway, so what headmaster does, there's gang boop, right? Gang Iwisa straight from Goli that's in the inventory, right? At Squad. But then now, every day, obviously borders meals are provided, right? Every day owns a chowing. You know that impopulane guys engani yellow foot. I forget the name for it, but like it didn't taste nice, right? And it was also like if it was a guy that properly which should be in the straw.
Was it in Kenya or just Tinyao?
I forget what it was called, but it was
Kenya was the yellow one though.
It wasn't fully the yellow one, but it was just like a low quality grain. But anyway, that's not the point of the story. Point is, the students are coming in lunch, dinner, and it's this low quality strata, right? People are wondering, like, there's gang Iwisa. Like, why are we chowing this? Why is this jazz tasting like the struggle, right? It was crackling and the food tastes like struggle. So apparently
that time you paid fees and you contributed to him,
bro. Listen. So now headmaster, on a random Tuesday, whatever it is, right? He was caught Eskaen, right? So he's got his 50 kg saga of Gwaja, and then and he was selling the Iwisa iph'impuphu and making cash off of that. Then bringing the cheap shit, and the students were eating that. So the students, and again, it's another problem going back to the original theme of the episode, all boys schools, right? The hyper masculinity sees that shit, says, nah, not with my sheets, bro. Right? There's no way. Apparently, headmaster cussed them out. Hey, cleanse and up. Take, get away. Oh, sharp. Kichimisa at the headmaster, bro. Like literally chased him, throwing rocks, all that shit at the headmaster. We survived. And apparently ran into the office of Kim Young, and then eventually the cops came. But
what the
So again,
oh shit,
typical Ms. story, bro. Like it's just why? Oh my gosh, man. Like it's just. But yeah. So if you know anyone from Zingwana, I'm sure they know the story. And as the headmaster, at least Ngakwa, it's like, groundsman or whoever is in charge of like inventory or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, some people are going to be, but this is literally the headmaster of the school. Like, what are we meant to get from that message? If the headmaster is moving like this, then like the students, the staff, everybody else can move mad. Because the headmaster's moving mad.
Don't be
right? If the government is
philosophical.
moving mad, your citizens are also gonna move mad. We're all trying to rip each other off in Zim. On my iPhone thing is the iPhone what was it? iPhone 12 or iPhone 13 for like $1,500 in the skies, bro. And I was like, what are you doing, fam? Right? Like it's
You guys make Tabo so angry. Like, I don't think you understand.
no, bro.
This guy
This
believes
shit vexes me.
in Zim.
This shit vexes me, bro. Like, but anyway, like I said, we have the government that we deserve because what the hell is that, bro? How would take simple bro? He's probably chowing like the premium shit that because obviously, yeah, some kids are gonna get groceries from Essen, right? And
Yeah.
God forbid that one kid who paid his school fees with maybe 20 kgs of Kellogg's cornflakes, and then you're coming every day, you just see put it in poo-poo, bruh. Jack, bro. Man, guys, we need to stop this corruption. Like, let's just steal, but steal with a little bit of ethics. I think that's honestly, I don't think we can stop people from being corrupt, right? But just do it with a little bit of art. You know, let the economy still function. It might not be the best functioning economy. I know that's too much to ask, but just give us, you know what I mean? Just give us something, bro. Like, don't starve the nation, or in this case, starve the school, and like it's nothing, bro. To the point of I want to buy booze. Where is this child, bro? Like blatantly. You're not even trying to be slick with it, right? If at least it was like every other day type shit. Okay, you know what? We chowed the goods trawler yesterday, and then today it's like the shit one, and then tomorrow it's like, okay, cool, you know what? It's being rationed out. But just sitting there and day in, day out. Impuphu yakho ayiboni.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah. I was telling
I wonder how many of those stories there were around 2008. Like when times got tough for everyone, how many people in positions of power and influence, especially in schools, started stealing and taking advantage of children? Because when the department is saying, Tina, we are not, what's the word? The Department of Education is saying, Tina, we're not funding anymore. The budget, ayiko. Even at home, they're probably saying salary ayingeni. So I'm sure people started taking shortcuts like that. Since I don't have a salary, I'm going to do this. Since I don't have a whatever, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. But anyway, I guess we can transition from that disappointing story into a little bit of GBV, a little bit of domestic violence, but not the type of domestic violence that y'all have been accustomed to. A certain president of a certain first world country was physically assaulted by his wife on the cameras. Bro, like it's so funny, the reception to this. So for anyone who, you know, again lives under a rock and is unaware, the French president was just, you know, I don't know where he had gone to or he'd come back from. He was on a plane and the doors to the plane opened up, and again, if you've seen a president, you know, descend from a plane, you can picture this in your mind, right? The camera was ready to go. Everybody, all the staff, the groundsmen, you know, they know standard procedure. Open the doors, camera, lights, camera, action, right? But in this case, the door opens and you can see the president, right? But the president is facing away from the camera, right? He's facing a different part of the plane, and a hand basically shoves him in his face. As soon as he's shoved, President Talazas to his left and sees the camera is rolling. And it's the funniest thing because you can tell that it's a serious moment or a serious conversation. He sees the camera And then he's like, shit, I need to get into character. And he then tried to play it off later on by saying something along the lines of, oh, me and my wife were just messing around, playing a game, whatever. He tried to gaslight the public, the world at large, and say, you guys trying to look into this, making this thing deep. How dare you? It's nothing. It's just me and my wife. This is how we play, right? But then the most damning evidence is when they walk down the plane together, he offers his hand to his wife. His wife was not having that shit. And that's the thing about, like, I don't know if it's a thing about hands, if it's a thing about, either last balls or whatever it is, but like there's a certain type of human that is able to say, I don't give a fuck. This is how I feel. If it means letting it all burn, let it all burn. Right? So this is a whole first lady was like, we're not gonna make it look cute. Like, nah, it is what it is. The world has seen what it's seen. And this president was just out here looking like a Popeye, which, yeah, I laughed because I was just like, damn, that's kind of funny, especially how he tries to play it off. But yeah, you don't see that type of thing often. You think first ladies and presidents are chums all the time.
No, but I think they're people like the rest of us. They're not perfect people, and they go through a lot. Same way that we all go through challenges in our relationship. I think they're no different.
But you don't think the standard should be higher?
Nah, they're people like us. The same fights we have as couples. No, but they'll have those fights behind the scenes anyways. Like Obama and Michelle probably had those fights behind the scenes. I'm sure those moments are there. And it's just that we're not privy to it as citizens, right? I think what makes that moment weird is their actual dynamic, the two of them as a couple. Just the nature of their relationship. I think the age gap is like 24 years.
Oh, wow.
They met when she was his teacher. She is.
Oh, yeah, because she looks older.
No, she is.
That's crazy.
She was his high school teacher. I think she was his drama teacher or something. And
high school?
Yeah, it began when he was still a minor.
That is insane.
So that's why when you see that push, there's always kind of this perception that who's actually the president of France. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the power dynamics from teacher to student from when they were little. You just think about it that way, right? Like just the dynamic from 24-year age difference. He was 15, she would have been 39. Like already from there.
Why isn't she in jail?
Are you telling me this is also like today? I feel like today is finding out there.
No, today is a day of discovery. Clearly, that's actually, to me, that's insane. 15 and a 39-year-old high school teacher, started a relationship with a child that eventually became the president of France, and nobody in that whole country has said, "Yo, kono ofla."
Eventually, I don't think anything happened to her. I think his parents moved him away, and then eventually they stayed connected, and he would become. They got married years later, and then he would become president.
That wedding must have been lit.
But I mean, it begs the question, right? So with that background, so you've seen the video, so you see the video. What would you change about what you thought of it initially?
I think.
Do you look at it any differently now that you know their age gap and the nature of their relationship?
I think each time the president comes home he is abused.
Oh yeah.
No, I
Every
think,
time I come
Bro,
here,
I am abused.
I am abused.
It's hard not to look. You know, in the spirit of equality, right? If you switch the roles, it's hard not to be like, hey, listen, you've groomed him and you're in control and da 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 da, and you know it's weird. So obviously you have to have the same energy, right? So if I'm to think anything, if there's to be an aggressor, she probably is, right? And then now I look at it in the initial context was kind of like, oh, he probably did something or said something foul, right? And she's losing her shit. But then now it's almost like one of them, you know, when we were kids and like your mom told you, you know, keeping cook and leave it, you know, to defrost, and you didn't do it, and she came home and smacked the shit out of you. It seemed like one of them moments where she was like, yeah, you know, before we land, and then the plane lands and he forgot to wake her up, and then now he's getting a shove in the face. So yeah, that's weird. Yeah, no, I look at that very differently now, bro. That's poor president. What's his name? Macron.
Emmanuel Macron.
Askisi chick. Askisi.
Yeah, what a difficult.
But yeah. Also on the tech side of things, I wanted to play this video. I want to give. I hope it's the video that I'm thinking about. But I wanted to give Nat some credit because we did an episode. I don't know where you were or what you were doing, but Nat stood in for you maybe last year or the year before, and she talked about how, you know, at the time she sort of she looked into the future of where AI will be, right? And kind of how we're going to interact with it as humans and stuff like that. It was more focused in, I think our conversation was more focused in like kind of jobs that, you know, would be lost and all that kind of stuff. However, she said something that was super, super, like, to me, like prudent, you know? What she said was, with the way AI is going, eventually there will come a time where a commodity is free thought, right? To be able to think outside of, oh, ChatGPT, can you write this email for me, right? Just that someone who can just use their own brain to create thoughts, you know, and move something forward without the assistance of artificial intelligence. But anyway, let me look who's in. I think this is from Diary of a CEO. I'll play this little snippet, and then you can jump in with your thoughts.
You want to do the right thing. So you go to ChatGPT and you be like, this is exactly what happened. Tell me what to do. And you go, babe, I just want you to know I want to take full accountability and I care about this relationship. And she says, did you get this answer from ChatGPT? And you go, I did. How's that going to go? Now, you did everything right. But what makes people beautiful is not that we get everything right. It's that we get many things wrong. And I think in the modern world we live in, we forget that.
So with AI, do you think it really is cause for concern and deeper thought?
So I'm not in the AI business, but I am in the humanity business. And here's the problem that we never talk about. People keep telling us, life is not about the destination, life is about the journey. But when we think about AI, we only think about the destination. And we forget the importance of doing the work yourself. So we have underrepresented the value of struggle. I am smarter, better at problem solving, more resourceful, not because a book exists with my ideas in it, but because I wrote it. That excruciating journey is what made me grow. So we give up certain skills or abilities because of technology, but it's like saying AI will provide boats for everyone, except for the time there's a storm and you don't know how to swim. And unless we take personal accountability to teach and learn human skills, they will disappear. Sure, you can have an AI friend trained, like the best psychologist to affirm you, the best listening skills that exist, but my ability to know what to do when my friend is struggling, my ability to function in the world or cope with stress, these very, very human skills are suffering.
So what are the other skills we need to equip ourselves with based on the way that the world is heading?
Two things. One is...
So
I find this very fascinating.
Bro, so if you want to hear the rest of that, I believe just look up Stephen Bartlett and Simon Sinek, I guess is his name. And search that episode. I still haven't had time. I haven't had a lot of time for a lot of shit, apparently. But I will look up the interview with Simon Sinek, because that is, like I said earlier, the biggest thing where we are going to get to a point where I think creativity might become a problem, like self-thought, right? Some of these things that me and you take for granted because, I think we've developed enough without AI where we are trying to think of these things ourselves. And like, I think you didn't hear the first part of it, right? I think what he had said was you get into a fight with your wife, right? And then ChatGPT sat around, then you heard the rest of that.
Yeah.
Whereas I know people, a few friends personally, who are talking to ChatGPT like it's buddy, and it's I don't know how I feel about that spectrum, like where I am on the spectrum of like, is that good or bad? Where this thing can really animate, kind of the human mind to a certain extent and make you feel good, and it's not bad necessarily on its own. But is that it's the same way we worry about porn and how porn can fuck you up psychologically, right? And what you think sex is and what you think women are.
Yeah.
Could AI potentially be messing you up psychologically to where you turn away from friends and you're okay with speaking to AI? Tina Swazi, the whole time you're going through this, and ChatGPT, one day I use your computer and I see, Ziakala between you and ChatGPT, But yeah,
and
what are your
ChatGPT?
ChatGPT. But what are your thoughts?
I think we need to be I think this is now when people say we need to be careful with technology, I think this is the one that I think we need to be most careful with. So I've, over the last year, I think I can speak openly about my journey with using AI. So I've got like a personal, so on my home PC, I've got it on my Google account, and I've got a ChatGPT account. So I use it for menial tasks. So clean up this email, clean up this little thing, fix my grammar, that stuff, right? Or find information quickly. Like, hey, I have found this many trademarks. How many of these are in the same class? How many of these relate to the same goods? So, and I think that's how AI should be used. And I think it should be used the same way we use calculators. So we're no longer doing long division, but we're helping.
Yes.
We're helping ourselves do the work we need to do. It's like it's a tool, right? It's, my boss likes to call it we're not trying to replace lawyers with robots. We want to create bionic lawyers. So that's how he encourages us to eventually deal with AI. So don't leave everything to the robot. Use the robot so you become a better lawyer. So if you're worried that your grammar is not good, use it to fix your grammar. If you're worried that your maths is not good, use it to do maths very quickly. If you're worried that your organization, your whatever, the structure of your sentences isn't the best, tell it to be in a certain tone, in a certain way, and do it that way. Use AI like that. But don't outsource your entire functionality or human functionality to artificial intelligence. I think that's dangerous, because we're also dealing with a time where I think there's a loneliness pandemic globally. I think people are lonely. And I'm not talking about, like you're married, you've got a child, just friends, we do this every week, there's other people you talk to, you've got a community, and every weekend you'll get together, there's brunch, there's different things.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of people who don't have that, don't have partners, don't have community, don't have, that vibe, that environment that you need as a human. And then they outsource everything to their cell phone, because where else are you going to be? You're going to be on your phone 24/7. You're going to be on Twitter. Then eventually you're going to be on Tinder. You won't find something you like. Then you're on Pornhub. Then eventually you're going to open ChatGPT and you'll start talking to it. And yeah, I agree with what you said. I think that's dangerous. Like once you start doing things like that, you're now abusing the technology. You're now abusing the technology.
I feel like, okay, so abusing, I don't know about using the term abusing. I get what you're trying to say, right? I guess for me, I still don't know how I truly feel about it, because it's such a weird thing. Because also I don't see the AI as real, at least not for me, not yet, right?
You don't see it as
real, like as in I don't rely, I'd say, as I don't use ChatGPT probably as much as you, right? Even though you're using it for menial tasks, right? I think I'm behind you in terms of usage, so I haven't even discovered how powerful, truly powerful it is, right? I still kind of, for random, I almost use it like Google, right? So like, when did the Lakers last win back-to-back championships? It's like some stupid shit like that, you know what I mean?
I used it a lot
in the middle of a
I used it a
debate,
lot. Sorry, I used it a lot in Europe for translation, currency conversion, just calculating the best things to do, like where's the best tourist friendly places for foreign nationals, for what to do when we're trying to get from here to there, what are the cool food places in Hungary, in Austria, whatever. So all of that stuff is very, very useful. And even finding, like I remember the one time we were, I think we were in Austria, and we needed to get an Uber, and there were no Ubers where we were, so Uber wasn't available. So then I could go on ChatGPT and say, hey, there are no Ubers in this place, so if I want to get a cab, who can I call? So it's not that Google thing where it just lists a whole bunch of people you call, and it's like, these ones are open till late, these ones are open at this time. So that stuff, like it's useful for that. But I wouldn't go and then be like, ChatGPT, Tabo said this and it made me feel this way. I don't know how to unpack it. That's I think that's going to a different level.
Also, I think, so again, I get it in terms of sometimes there's the argument for it can be this, right? Look, it's a very, very sensitive issue, and I'm not comfortable telling Senna about this thing, right? Maybe me and my wife are having beef, and I'm not yet ready to tell someone like Senna, right? Or anyone. So let me turn to ChatGPT because, I need to kind of vent. But while I understand that part of it, I'm more concerned in terms of how is ChatGPT coming up with these responses? Because again, it's a large language learning model, right? Where it's basing this on all this data that it's gobbled up and whatever. And I can't remember where I was hearing this from. Like, I don't know, maybe you were the one who said it, but like on Twitter, people were laughing at Grok. Uguti, the responses are, on the left a lot of the time, like they're left leaning. And it's like, why your responses, like, they typically seem to be left-leaning. And that, again, Grok is learning off of the data on Twitter, right? So now it's influencing how it responds to you. So
and I think
that's where my concern,
I think there was the other week where we spoke about how when Grok was reporting on white genocide, it had a specific line that it was rolling out. And then someone then asked it, Grok, why is it that even with evidence you keep saying this? Is like, then I think he said something along the lines of, I've been programmed to. So that's how Grok responded. And that was wild. That was a wild day on Twitter, bro. I was like, yo, okay. Yeah. Grok just snitched. And then I think they tried to fix it. I think they fixed it. But yeah, man. So these LLMs, they just collect whatever information they can on the internet. Anything that's public, accessible, writings, articles, anything, intellectual property, which I think at some point once the law catches up, I'm very fascinated to see how these learning models have been using the information that has been gathering on the internet. So if Ramaphosa wrote a paper for a university script in 2013, let's say.
Yeah.
So you wrote a paper then. If it's open on the internet and it's open source, then an LLM is probably taking that and then using it to learn how essays should be written, which then when there's a topic which comes up in a similar field, that's what feeds the responses. Like it's learning from your answers. 10 years later, Senna's asking about something you wrote in varsity, and then it's relating it to me like it's talking to me, like a person. Write me a paper,
Scary times, bro.
Writes it. Huh?
Saying it's scary hours. Scary hours.
Yeah. I think there might be lawsuits about things like that later on. If you're found.
What do you mean?
I think someone at some point will look at some of these AI companies, ChatGPT for one, just to be like, okay, are you guys using protected property? Are you using people's IP to feed your models so that they generate these responses? And if it's protected IP, did you get clearances so that you can train your model? Then if you didn't, then you get sued. But I think the technology is so fast, the law can't keep up.
Yeah.
Get to Sabambi, data protection, now there's AI, now you must convene meetings and get countries to draft. It takes too much time.
Yeah. So I think it's we're in a very interesting time, and obviously I'm always going to be pro technology. I want us to keep pushing and see what we can create as humans, as a society. But at the same time, even if you are talking to ChatGPT and it is your bestie and stuff like that, like I've seen some of the memes online and stuff like that. I think there just needs to be that recognition where you understand that, okay, it's almost like the silly bots, when you're on your banking app and it's got the, hi, how can I help you? What service do you want? You know what I mean? But a much smarter version, but it's still that, you know what I mean? It's not going to replace a human being that knows Sena and, like someone who can also check you, right? And be like, actually,
do you want
you are the wrong one in this thing.
Yeah. So a funny story, something I didn't tell you, but I think I can talk about now. A few weeks-ish ago, about a month ago, just over a month ago, I interviewed
about a week ago.
I interviewed by an AI company, and what they do is they're hiring lawyers to help train their AI models so that they can help be lawyers. If you get what I mean.
Okay. Yeah.
So that if Tabo needs to negotiate an agreement on behalf of his company, he's got an AI tool that he can feed the agreement and say, hey, can you please tell me what I should be looking out for in this draft? And then it'll return, ask for this, after this, our company position is this, in the space of a minute, 5 minutes, you're done. Whereas at the moment, stuff like that takes me a whole day to do manually. So their whole thing is they hire lawyers to do all of that, and it's scary stuff, bro, because that just means eventually you will have access to a product on your desktop which will be like your lawyer on the side. It starts off with your contracts. Eventually it's, I need advice on trademark law. Then it's telling you everything you need to do step by step. And now you don't need to pay Sena 5,000 Rand to review and write you a letter.
That's how it is, bro. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, to kind of wrap it up, I think we've gone a bit long. But I think we just have to all be conscious of how we use technology, and understand that it is technology. It's not. I don't think at least we're not yet at a stage where human thinking can be fully replicated. I don't think that. So I think just kind of review yourself in the sense that, like, okay, it's fine, you bounce a few things off ChatGPT and whatever, but still check in with people that love you, right? Still have those conversations. This is not it's a tool, right? A tool means sisonke, right? I use a hammer is a tool. The hammer does not do the work itself. I need to still be there to hit the nail, right? So I think just keep that understanding that this is a tool. It's not a replacement. It's not a supplement, right? It doesn't mean now you can stop talking to people, or you should stop talking to people. And I think, just let's make sure people are we're communicating with people that love us, and you can't be telling your deepest, darkest secrets to ChatGPT and calling it a day, right? Have another layer of, hey, boom, 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 and still, I think that's very important, because I fear for my lighties, bro. Like my little cousins, because they have tech, they've got phones, they've got that. So it's like the way that we were so silly in high school and we had no tech, right? Now imagine with the way that we grew up and there is tech, and then like remember you mentioned like our mutual friend who didn't enjoy his high school experience. Like they are going to be kids like that who exist right now, who are being bullied and are being made to feel a type of way, and then they are going to resort to ChatGPT being their friends and stuff like that. These are new challenges that we have to deal with as society, as families and stuff like that. So it's not to be doom and gloom, people, but let's just be vigilant.
I would add to say, beyond being vigilant, I think the fear should also be what it does with that information. So it's your information, right? So once they have it, where do they take it? What do they do with it? What are they doing with your vent about your family? Who does that go to? What do they know? What do they do with it? Are they building, I don't know, online virtual reality you never know. And also now you can prompt this thing with voice prompts, right? So I think some people are even sending it voice messages and asking questions, and eventually teaches itself how a human should speak, and God knows where that'll end up. Next thing it's Maposa's voice on Oratambo there by the airport. Attention, passengers.
All passengers. But also the thing is, it's incorporated, right? Because Siri, if you've updated your phone, Siri now uses ChatGPT. So I actually like that, because now Siri is actually useful for once. So I can, as it's silly Lokuzen, she now switched on because I said her name. But like now I can actually ask proper questions.
If you actually even think, if you have a Google account, you can update, get a premium that gives you, I think just a Gemini. So it gives you Gemini across the apps. So you'll be in Excel, then you can even ask it to summarize tables. All of that kind of stuff. Microsoft's got Copilot. That's very useful. So there's different things you can do if you've got, different accounts on different platforms. And even project planners like ClipUp, you can just ask you to write your project plan, and then it'll give you all the suggested descriptions, tasks, everything. So there's a lot to try, but responsibly.
Yes, people, try it responsibly. As Mr. Moyo has said, as Funi is Gandal. So yeah. Anyway, I think we can leave it on that note, Mr. Moyo. You guys know, keep sharing the podcast. We will start outing names. The ghost followers, I'm speaking to you. But otherwise, Mr. Moyo, it's been a good one. It's been a fun one. I hope the audio wasn't terrible, but if it is, askies. You all know what it is. Like the thing, subscribe to the thing, retweet the thing, and if you don't, we're inclined to believe you are a hater. Mr. Moyo,
Laters.